Sound check. 1, 2, 3. Sound check's keeping going apparently. Sound check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Afternoon, everyone. We're doing something this week in the Senate that is a bit unusual, that we haven't done in a while. We're actually teeing up an appropriations bill to vote on the floor and have an amendment process. We're going to try and get consent. We're going to be on the Milcon VA legislative appropriations bill, and then hoping that we can get consent to add a couple of other bills into the package so that we can be voting on appropriations bills for the first time in a long time. And the reason I say that is because, as you all know, last year when Chuck Schumer was running the Senate, the Appropriations Committee reported out 11 of the 12 appropriations committees, or appropriations bills, I should say, all with bipartisan support, and not a single one of them was put on the floor for a vote. So we're fixing to change that. We think that there ought to be a regular appropriations process around here. The Democrats have indicated, because they're so upset over the rescissions bill last week, which, by the way, cut 0.1% of all federal spending, that somehow they can use that as an excuse to shut down the appropriations process and therefore shut down the government. We think that would be a big mistake, and hopefully they will think better of it and work with us. And we're trying to give them what they've been asking for, is a bipartisan appropriations process, which, frankly, I think a lot of us around here think is long overdue. The other thing I want to mention quickly is the nominations process. Obviously, there's been a lot of conversations around that here lately, and the thing that strikes me, again, about the Democrats' behavior relative to nominations is a little data point, and that data point is that President Trump will be the first president in history not to have a single one of his nominees confirmed either by voice vote or unanimous consent, which is typically what happens around here, particularly with nominees that have pretty broad bipartisan support, which a lot of these nominees that we're trying to advance do. So this is clearly an attempt to block and delay and obstruct. It is an example of Trump derangement syndrome on steroids, and it's unfortunate, because there are a lot of people out there who've been nominated to positions in our government that frankly need to be filled. They're important positions that need to be filled, and the Democrats continue to try and delay and obstruct. So we're going to keep grinding and work as hard as we can on the Republican side if we're not going to get any cooperation from the Democrats to get the president's team in place.
Leader, do you expect to cut short the August recess in order to honor the president's request, process these nominations? And the difficulty you're facing on appropriations, it looks like it's going to be a meat grinder to get the 60 votes you need on each of these bills. Are we looking at another CR situation in September?
Well, I would say that's going to be, I think, largely up to the Democrats. I hope we can get 60 votes, yes. It's not easy around here getting 60 votes on anything, but we've said before that if there's anything in the Senate that ought to be bipartisan, it's the appropriations process and getting back to regular order on that. So we'll see where the votes are. At this point, I'm hesitant to predict that. And with respect to the August recess, that really is a function of, again, whether or not the Democrats are willing to cooperate and help us get some of these nominees through the pipeline. So we're keeping those options on the table, honestly, because there's just a lot of stuff we have to get done.
As you know, Republicans are deeply divided over Jeffrey Epstein. Speaker Johnson shut down the House floor to avoid dealing with it. What do you think the Senate should do here, especially now that the Oversight Committee in the House subpoenaed, or wants to, Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, I've said this before, and I will defer to our committee chairs. But as a personal matter, I've said this, I believe that the President and the Attorney General will make the right decisions there with regard to that. But again, if we have committee chairs who think it makes sense, then I'll leave that to their discretion.
What do you say to some of your members who now want to undo parts of the big beautiful bill, such as the Medicaid cuts or the gambling tax? Is that going to happen?
No. The big beautiful bill, and once we get an opportunity to get out there and talk about it, I think is going to be a big winner with the American people. And there are component parts of it that are, I think they're going to be hugely popular. And as I've said before, the target of this was middle-income families, working Americans, and I think they are going to be the biggest beneficiaries of the benefits of this bill. And I think we're going to have an opportunity, hopefully, to get out and start talking about it, their views on that are going to be, I think our views on that are going to be confirmed by what the American people think. So, but on that particular issue, there are members out there who are saying we'd like to do this or that differently. That's always the case. This was a big piece of legislation that had a lot of moving parts. Not everybody got everything they wanted, but at the end of the day, it's historic in its breadth and the things that it addresses, from border security to national security to energy dominance to tax relief for working families to historic savings in terms of the budget reforms that we made. Those are all things that are long overdue, and I think those things are all, in the end, as we get out there to talk about it, are going to be very popular with the American people.
Realistically, is the sanctions bill that Graham has likely to get a vote before recess, given all these nominations and other things that you guys have?
It would be, it's as you can tell, and I've said this before, but the coin of the realm in the Senate is floor time. There's a finite amount of it, and obviously it takes a lot of time to do anything around here, which we're going to find out now when we try to move on the appropriations process, and the nominations are also a very high priority for us. But Russia's sanctions, when it's ready to go, with the right bipartisan support, which I think exists, there are 85 co-sponsors on that bill, we ought to be able to expedite consideration of that on the floor. And I'm ready to do that. Again, we're working, trying to coordinate with the White House to ensure that when we do it at a time that makes sense in terms of their negotiations to try and facilitate a peaceful outcome with respect to Ukraine and Russia. So it's on our radar screen, and when it's time to go, we'll be ready to go. Thank you all.
Are you committed to open? Go team, go!
We had two questions from received.
Okay. Thank you for being here, everybody, and thanks to Senators Durbin and Booker. We said Senator Klobuchar would come, but we had a very constructive meeting in our caucus, and it lasted a good amount of time. I'm glad it did. But anyway, she couldn't make it. So today, Senate Republicans are moving forward with one of Trump's worst judicial nominees to date, and that's saying a lot. It's Emil Bovee. Bovee is not just religiously obedient to Trump, but he's proven to be hostile to the rule of law. Republicans, meanwhile, are nowhere to be found with a whisper of scrutiny. So much, they're so afraid of how bad this guy is that, and Senator Durbin will talk about it, and Senator Booker will talk about it, that Senator Grassley, the Judiciary Chair, cut off Cory Booker from even speaking at his hearing, and a number of people didn't get to ask questions. Is that right? Yes. They're afraid of the questions. Bovee's claim to fame is as Trump's personal attorney. He's made a career of handling Trump's dirty laundry and is hitman at the DOJ. The only reason this guy is being appointed to this position is he handles Trump's dirty laundry. At the DOJ, Bovee weaponized the department to carry out political retributions against people Trump considered his enemies. He punished FBI agents investigating the January 6th insurrection and fired prosecutors working on criminal charges for the January 6th rioters, against trying to free up these rioters. It's appalling. He reportedly told DOJ lawyers to ignore court orders and even deliberately mislead judges. That's right, Bovee, a man seeking to be a circuit court judge, reportedly told DOJ lawyers to mislead judges. In the long history of our republic, things like this haven't happened. It's incredible. And what is the Republican response? When in the past, Republicans wouldn't have even let this guy come forward in the Reagan days and Bush days, just rush him through the process. Trump wants him. He's Trump's lapdog. Yes, sir. We'll vote for him, they say. It's no wonder over 75 bipartisan former state and federal judges joined together to oppose Bovee's nomination. He's the extreme of the extreme. He's not a jurist. He's a Trumpian henchman. That seems to be the qualification for appointees these days. It's clear Bovee holds deep hostility against the very bench he's being considered for. Senate Dems will strongly oppose his nomination. Also this afternoon, as Senate Republicans spend time jamming through Trump's henchmen and House Republicans seek to get out of town to stop the bleeding in their caucus by the Epstein files hypocrisy and cover-up, I will be meeting with Leader Jeffries, and immediately following that meeting, we'll be meeting with Senators Murray and DeLauro and other Senate and House Democrats. Hakeem and I will be meeting to discuss the appropriations process in both the House and the Senate in the weeks ahead. With so much hard work ahead and a government funding deadline only less than 25 legislative days away, Republicans should be focused on working with us to deliver for American families. Instead, both Republican caucuses are simply focused on doing Trump's dirty work, rushing through one of his henchmen to be a circuit court judge, and rushing to get out of town to avoid taking questions on Epstein, when both Republicans in the House and Senate should be working with us on appropriations. But they're running home or focusing on putting one of the worst judges that we've ever had nominated. It's time for Republicans to get their act together. Senator Durbin.
2 weeks after the Senate confirmed Pam Bondi as Attorney General, she told Fox News the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review, end of quote. 6 days later, Bondi released binders of documents related to Epstein to MAGA influencers. But the documents she released were already publicly available. The absence of any client list led to a predictable, immense blowback. Attorney General Bondi then returned to Fox News, the mothership, and made another startling claim. that a whistleblower told her that the FBI withheld thousands of pages of documents, and then she promised the country would see the, quote, full Epstein files. Yet, over the next 4 months, DOJ and FBI were silent on this issue until an unsigned July 7 memorandum was issued, finding that, quote, systemic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened during the 4 months between Attorney General Bondi's sweeping claims in February and this July 7th memorandum? Our Judiciary Committee learned the embarrassing truth. We were contacted by a highly credible whistleblower describing Attorney General's pressure on FBI to quickly review and produce more Epstein documents as promised. For 2 weeks in late March, the FBI assigned approximately 1,000 personnel in its Information Management Division and hundreds of additional agents from the New York field office to work 24-hour shifts to review and produce more Epstein documents. These officials were told to, quote, flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. Essentially, agents were pulled out of their field from their work combating narcotics and violent crime to review this mountain of documents. Other important FBI work was effectively shut down, according to the whistleblower. Using tens of thousands of personnel hours at the expense of public safety for no other reason than to try to bolster baseless claims you've made is unconscionably reckless. President Trump has not helped the situation. Despite his administration continually making promises about transparency on Epstein and the existence of records that they have not produced, he is currently telling the country that it is all a, quote, scam, unquote. Last week, President Trump posted on his personal social media site, and I quote, my past supporters have bought into this BS, hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, unquote, from President Trump. This is the way the president is talking about his own constituents, who are raising concerns about the very claims President Trump's campaign surrogates and administration officials have repeatedly raised. President Trump and Attorney General Bondi are directly responsible for the confusion and mistrust around Epstein's prosecution. Attorney General Bondi, in particular, owes both Congress and the American people the truth about Jeffrey Epstein, the whole truth and nothing less.
Senator Booker.
Thank you very much, Chuck. I appreciate that.
From the
I will always be able to hear you even from here.
As we say in New Jersey, New York has our back. Far away. The Empire State Building's ours, by the way. Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island. Look, I think it should be really apparent right now that the House of Representatives is running out of town. They're running out of town because it's clear the Speaker believes that their membership in the Republican caucus over there is so fragile that they cannot withstand simple debate, discussion about the topic of Jeffrey Epstein. That this is so patently a hill of lies upon which the Justice Department and House Republicans are trying to hide behind, that they can't stand to have debate and discussion about it, so they're canceling their plans and running out for a summer recess. That should tell voters something. Senator Durbin said it plain that we are now in a nation where we had our highest law enforcement official say plainly that there is a client list and a truckload of evidence that they were going to release. It's on my desk, indicating that there was something substantive that was going to expose criminal behavior. And now, months later, they're saying nothing to see there. It is clear that one of those statements is not true, and so therefore, someone has lied to the American people. And what the House of Representatives seems to be so afraid of is to answer that question: when was the lie told? And that somehow is so difficult to endure, that question that they are running out of town. Part of that was the reason why they tried to jam us in the Judiciary Committee. Because Emil Bovee was one of the principal top justice official people that was there during this time. He can answer those questions. He could give transparency and accountability for what his role was in this clear cover-up of what the truth is. We are seeing a pattern here that we have a Republican Party so fragile, so submissive to Donald Trump, that they are now undercutting our constitutional role of advise and consent on a Third Circuit judge, undermining our constitutional role to provide a check and a balance on the executive, undermining our constitutional role in Congress to hold the executive accountable. Imagine if this was the Justice Department under Obama. What would the House Republicans be saying? We've seen what they've done on just some hint or whiff on other issues, that they hold countless hearings over and over and over again. Dear God, I can't hear the words, her emails, without remembering those things. The hypocrisy of the Republican Congress right now, that they are refusing to do their job. They are so under the thrall of this president that they're undermining the design of our republic and our constitutional intent that our branch of government is a co-equal, independent branch. No, they are turning us into a submissive branch that does the willing, that carries out whatever their dear leader says. Bovee is part of this. He knows what happened in the Justice Department. He should answer for that. And frankly, when it comes to everything from January 6th to the whistleblowers that are coming forward, to put someone on the bench that has shown such disrespect for the rule of law, for the ideas of justice, they are not worthy for that position. Why are the Republicans so afraid of the truth? Why are they so afraid to stand up and hold this administration accountable for their lies?
Questions?
Leader Schumer,
Leader Schumer.
Warning about rescissions. Do you think a bipartisan appropriations deal is possible if that money stays cut?
Look, we Democrats want a bipartisan deal. We're working together to get one. But the bottom line is Republicans are making it much harder. Rescissions, impoundment, pocket rescissions directly undoes this. And I said this about Senator Thune on the floor today. You can't say you want a bipartisan process, which he said yesterday, and at the same time put rescissions on the floor, which is the antithesis of bipartisan. Yes. Go ahead.
What do you make of President Trump's comments saying that he wants to put Obama on trial for treason?
Despicable. So Trump so demeans the debate in this country and this debate and this country by what he says. And people should just reject him. I don't care what your philosophy is, Democrat, Republican, Independent. When he says something like that, it should be universally condemned. Imagine how Trump would react if someone said it about him. He'd go nuts. Go ahead, Burgess.
Will Democrats vote to advance this appropriations bill today?
Look, let me just talk about this appropriations bill. First, it was done in a bipartisan process, no question about it. Second, it undoes many of the awful DOGE cuts to veterans. And third, we'll have an amendment process after. This is just a motion to proceed, and we look forward to the amendment process.
Given that you're all demanding the release of the Epstein files, why weren't Democrats calling for the release of these files when Biden was president and when you were in the majority?
I did in 2019.
And not nearly as
I
vocal
did.
as you are now.
Please, that's not true. Absolutely not true. Thank you, everybody.